some music.
Hello,
I hear the music.
everybody.
Hello, hello.
And welcome to the Tesla Life number 237 for July the 9th. No, June. What is it?
January.
Where are we?
The other
Start
J.
with a J. That's
They're all
right. Something
J's.
with a
It's
J.
all good.
January 19th. It's a little colder than June or July, but we'll get through it. We will get through it.
Hockey Day was
everyone
first
to
in the chat.
Very good, very good. And joining us today, Hockey Day has provided the weather update for us. Thank you, sir. And we have Mr. Casey Green joining us from the DC area. How are you today, sir?
I'm ready for more weather. As Hockey Day pointed out, we've got a winter advisory coming up for overnight, and we'll see what that does to everything. This came via FedEx today.
Casey's got some fun toys.
Oh, this one's a little bit smushed. I guess that'll be the one that I put on the shelf.
Oh, the buckle.
No, the buckle's been here.
Oh, it's the whistle.
The whistle. But you didn't have to buy it with Doge.
I did not have to buy it with Doge.
But now you do. The whistle and the belt buckle are both Doge only.
That's right, Doge only.
Oh, so they're back in stock.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Until the Doge sells out, I guess.
I'm going to have a problem if they... I need to acquire some Doge so I can... Because they're going to do another drop and it's going to be Doge only.
Yeah,
That's right.
So I have Doge, but I don't know how to actually spend it. I just know how to buy and sell it within the account that I have it in.
Right. You need a Doge wallet.
I mined some.
Right.
I got to find the hard drives and the wallet.
Well, that, of course, is Mr. Patrick Connor joining us from the West Coast. How are you today, sir?
Hello, I'm good. Hey, out there, Tesla Nation. Good to be hanging out with you. Welcome to our show about all things in the Muskoverse, where we are working our way towards a future free from fossil fuels.
Very good. Excellent way to start it off. Well, no shortage of news, ever. So let's start with Casey. He's got an interesting kind of back and forth story that happened recently.
Yes. So this gentleman, Real Dan O'Dowd, has a company called, what was it called? Green Hills Software. Mm-hmm. And they purchased a full-page ad in the New York Times under a front company. Let's call them that, a front organization. And they were calling out FSD as being dangerous and deadly and a whole bunch of other baseless claims that when you dig into even their methodology, everything was flawed. And for the article link, we actually have a link to Elon's tweet. Let me see if I can share that here.
He has an opinion.
He has an opinion. So,
Mr. Musk does not take a slight sliding down.
Right. So this guy says he's talking about his ad and blah, blah, blah. And then, Hey Dave 7 says, I think it's only fair and honest for you to disclose which competitors your company works for. And then Elon says, they're trash.
Linux for the win.
Yes. So it turns out that this company doesn't actually work for any of the OEMs. They are working for the tier 1 suppliers. So they work for Mobileye, they work for the LiDAR companies, they work for a bunch of defense companies. They made the software that crashed those Boeing jets. They're ones to talk. But
that's a big accusation. So, I mean, did they literally make
Okay, they didn't crash the jets
777 Max?
But they made the operating system was their claim.
Okay, all right.
And then they also used to have a smear against Linux, the same way they're smearing FSD right now.
Good luck with that. The wisdom of the masses. Let's see. Our 990 people are smarter than the millions of people that work on Linux combined.
Exactly.
Bullshit.
Exactly.
That's not gonna fly.
And they were cool with Autopilot until Tesla severed their relationship with Mobileye, because Mobileye was their actual customer, not Tesla.
Well, that was quite some time ago, though.
It
Are
was
these
quite
people
some time
holding a
ago.
grudge?
He has 3 Teslas. He was
2016.
trying to brag about them, but
Okay, so when he was on Fox, he said something like, "We used to be the software that underpinned Tesla's Autopilot," and I didn't make the connection. It was through Mobileye.
right,
Okay.
it's through Mobileye.
Yeah, so I don't know anything about their software other than what we've just said.
Right, that part.
If you think about what industry has the shittiest software out there today, it's vehicles. We've talked about how they are kludged together, that it's a podge of systems, that the things don't integrate well. Your navigation system doesn't even talk to other parts of the vehicle often. So so for them to come out and say our software is great and here's our customers, and they should not be throwing shade in that glass house they live in, man.
Right, and it's as I always say, if what you're saying is true, that's fine, but you don't got to lie on your competition, because once you start lying, you lose all credibility with your customers and with the public that you're trying to woo over. So,
yeah, this could backfire big time.
It did.
Yeah, so these guys produced a full-page article or advertisement.
Yes,
inside of the New York Times, and slandering full self-driving. In fact, putting a nice graphic of a car speeding into a group of 3 people.
It was crash test dummies, right?
Yeah, like it's something that
they were like, oh, don't crash test this on me. It's like, well, one, crash testing is not an involuntary thing. Crash testing is very deliberate with crash test dummies, not with humans, and the whole premise is flawed in the fact that you don't get to select who's driving drunk with you. You don't get to control over who's teaching their teen to drive around you. You don't get to control who's looking at their cell phone next to you. Nikki over at Transport Evolved did a very good piece of journalism on it today that just came out on Transport Evolved, and I liked her delivery on that. So that's something to look into as well today when we get done.
Yeah, I watched it and it was really good. And she's not been a huge Tesla fan in the past, so to see her defend Tesla gives more credibility to it.
Right. Yeah, because sometimes, even though she's trying to go after pure truth, it sometimes comes down like anti-Tesla or
sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes. And other times like this, it's like, hey, these are complete falsehoods, no matter how you put it out there. So let's, again, side with the truth and tell you guys the truth. And so I thought it was a good delivery today.
Yep, agreed.
Interesting.
And she made a good point. The organization that they used as their front has...
The Dawn Project.
The Dawn Project has... it's a name shared by many places, so don't go pooping on every Dawn Project you see. You need to, not do that social media.
You gotta look under the bushes to find the real one.
And it's called the Real Dawn Project on
Yeah, so if he's into software, he should understand that you have to have not violate other people's copyright and trademarks, because there are, like you said, other groups called the Dawn Project.
And most of them are like really good things, like making sure people can eat, teaching children, caring for animals. It's like, and then this. Yeah. Don't just find something called the Dawn Project and tell them they're horrible. Don't do that.
How dare you feed unsheltered animals? How dare you help kids with their homework? What are you thinking? They should suffer. This is the sarcasm, obviously. Don't take that out of context.
I'm going to do that clip. There's going to be a meme.
Yeah,
Casey hates.
They'll just slice up the show in certain ways, and we're done for, Casey. Thanks a lot. But moving on to our next topic, Pactor's got a date coming up that we are definitely keeping our eyes on.
Oh,
yeah,
that kind of date.
I've got a date. Woo, that is yes, and that date is January 26th. January, not June or July. January 26th. And Tesla is going to have their earnings call.
Oh.
And
that's faster than I expected. Usually they're like February.
Yeah, I think they've had them as early as the 23rd. And this one's a full year, so that often they take another week to get all of that data together. So they'll be looking at how Tesla did for 2021, and we have heard Mr. Musk has confirmed that he's going to be on the call after missing one call?
One.
Saying, I'm not going to do this anymore. Missed one, right back in the saddle. He couldn't stay away. And it should be an exciting call because he's promised to give a product roadmap update on the next call. So what does that mean? What does that mean about CyberTruck? Is there going to be a new flavor, a smaller Cybertruck? What does it mean about the 25K, or as we call it, the Model Next? Who knows? Who knows what excitement will... he's even said in the past that earnings calls are not the place for new product announcements. So I doubt it'll be the 25K vehicle, but it could be some updates on already announced products like the Semi and the Cybertruck and the Roadster. Could definitely be some updates on when those are coming. And this is the part that Mark and I are most excited about. Which factories are coming online and when for Austin and Berlin?
Yeah. He's got to know. At this point, he has to know what's coming online first.
Well, you never know. There could be some more cardboard forest issues.
Yeah, so he knows what their plan is. And so he's announced that he's going to Germany in mid-February. And so as we talked about last week, they have 2,000 cars, pre-production cars that are allotted to make. That should be done by about mid-February. So I'm guessing that's going to be why he's there for their big kickoff, ribbon cutting, launch party, whatever you want to call it. It's probably going to have a rave involved somewhere.
Did you hear the controversy about Elon's schedule? Someone announcing he's going to be in Germany at a certain point. He's now indicating that this is a bit of a security risk at this point. He's being told that people are now knowing where he is and when he will be at certain places or parts of the world, and they're going to be more cautious about that moving forward and keep dates vague and travel schedules hidden because they don't want to tip off somebody that may want to interfere with Elon. And this is something that in today's world you have to be cautious about.
Oh yeah, if you're a billionaire,
you have to fly commercial
security. Yeah.
Because the folks who track his jet, they were not interested in his gentlemanly request to them to maybe not make it so real time, and so he'll have to either fly on somebody else's jet or fly commercial in order to get around these people or get an injunction on them.
Yeah, so if you have a private jet, but the flight information has to be public, that's an interesting dilemma. Yeah.
Well, yeah, especially when you got somebody who's obstinate. Hey, I'm going to do what I'm allowed to do. I'm going to publish public data. Yes, it's public, but you're being a jerk. The man's asked you to stop. Yeah. The other thing I was going to say was that while we've seen how smoothly these calls can go without Elon, it's always nice to have him there during at least a portion of it, so we can get that stuff that only he's allowed to break the news on before it comes on the website or shows up for sale.
You could certainly tell in the last quarter that earnings call that everyone's following a script pretty closely. No one is showing their cards at all. They're just kind of following the script, and they don't want to be pointed out as the guy that let something else out that was not in the script.
Right, so, but plus you got all the people, all the professionals on the call, between the reporters and the big investors. They're used to this format because Tesla's not their only investment. So once Elon's not there to answer the weird off the wall questions or the boring bonehead questions, they just stick to the script.
Yeah,
them included. Yeah.
So that's happening. It'll be interesting to see Elon get into the mix and maybe drop a few more nuggets of information.
Right, and it's an hour and a half before we go on the air, so that should be perfect timing to listen to that and then come and hear us talk about all the cool things we learned.
Sounds perfect.
Unless we start streaming it live. No guarantees. We've done it once before.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Next, let's talk about cold weather. Let's talk about how to combat cold weather in a Tesla, and that, of course, is with a heat pump. And there has been some issues with the heat pump lately for the Model 3 and the Model Y. We spoke about this last week a little bit about in extreme cold conditions. We're talking about more minus Celsius, minus 30 Celsius, minus 40 Celsius, somewhere in that range, which is pretty darn close to the same temperature in Fahrenheit. That the heat pump in the two vehicles have failed a number of times for users. Tesla's come back with a number of quick fixes about asking people to precondition to get that heat pump warmed up early and before you go on that drive. And Elon has indicated that the heat pump issue is at the top of their list. And recently, Transport Canada and the NHTSA, is that what it is?
Yep.
Has indicated that they're looking into the issue. So it's serious because, of course, if you are in a cold climate area and your heat pump fails to work, that is a serious issue to have little or no heat. So if you're on a long drive, if you have kids in the car, it's something that you don't want to run into, definitely. But there has been a software update already that was sent out. Not sure if it has fixed the issue yet, but we are hopeful that some of these changes are going to affect some of the units. I'm not even sure if it's all units. It may be just a limited amount of the units that are out there. So we're not really sure about the scope of the problem, but we have had a number of people reporting no heat issues with the 3 and the Y. So it's something that is serious, and we're hoping that there will be some resolution or a fix to the problem. Hopefully it's just a software update that they can perform in order to do it. But from what I understand, the crux of the issue is that they've got a recirculating pump inside the heat pump so that you can build up heat in the liquid and then send it into the cabin, send the heat from the liquid into the cabin. But apparently some sort of valve is not working correctly, and it only goes through the loop once. So it doesn't get the multi spin into it to collect more and more and more heat. So that is what I understand is the issue at this point, is some sort of a valve issue. But don't quote me completely on that. It seems to be something that is in flux at the moment. And there's a lot of people that are looking at different solutions to fix this issue. So keep in mind, if you're in cold weather conditions, that you should be preheating that car up whenever you can if you're planning on going on a long journey. So it's something to keep in the back of your mind if you do travel in cold conditions for long distances. Short distances, no big deal.
It seems to also affect the refresh Model S and Model X as well. They received the same patch software that's supposed to fix this, or address it at least. From what I am hearing, it once your car is affected by this is when it will continue to be affected by this. But just because you have a heat pump doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to succumb to it.
Right.
Really cold conditions. We're talking Canadian winter here, and as Mark said, when these valves get mixed up, there's been some reports that at that point it damages the path in the scroll compressor where the fluid is compressed. So we'll see if the firmware fix prevents further instances from happening, and if the folks that do get it, if they all have mechanical failures, or if they need only a subset of them need new compressors.
Yeah.
I heard there was a problem with the air intake getting blocked as well, and that there was a recommendation to clear that out, brush this snow, or scrape the ice off of that.
Oh, yeah, that would be all cars, though.
There is that recommendation because, of course, with ice and snow, that the vents aren't closing or opening properly. So, yeah, you don't want that jammed. If it's trying to gain heat by closing the vents, if they don't close fully, then you've always got cool air blowing on it, and you're not getting as much heat as you could. So
and if
that's
it's full of leaves,
something
you can't
to look
get
at.
any air.
Yeah.
Right.
Or
just like the old days when I used to take a piece of cardboard and put it on half of my radiator in the winter.
Yeah. The trucks still do that. They make jumpy faces with it.
Wow.
Yep, that was in my pickup truck. I wanted to make sure that the rad would get the proper heat, and about half a sheet of cardboard would fix that issue for the winter.
Nice.
Better advice is if it's negative 30 or 40 outside, regardless of what scale you're on, stay home. Stay home. Just turn the heat on and get a blanket and stay home.
But if you can't do that, and you do have some forewarning that you're going to be leaving, Tesla says 15 to 30 minutes should be sufficient to make sure that you don't succumb to this, or that if you are affected by it, that it should be enough that you can be somewhat comfortable through the journey. Cardboard it up.
Yes, indeed.
Is that cardboard from a forest, Mark?
Probably.
Forest, yes.
So it's your fault that Berlin's not
Excellent
open.
segue, but I'm not talking about Berlin next. But that should have worked in nicely.
You could have.
Next, we got news that we believe that the Cybertruck is going to be delayed again a little bit. Not
Allegedly.
completely a year, but Tesla's indicated that they've pushed it now into 2023.
Maybe.
So we had hoped that we would see some production by the end of 2022 after that delay that we had heard that we were expecting in 2021. So they pushed it back a year. And now they've pushed it back a couple months into early 2023. So, again, I'm not too surprised because this truck is going to be a complete departure about how Tesla puts cars together from anything they've done previously.
Anyone.
And it's got two things that are brand new in it. The actual folding of metal to make the exterior body, the skeleton, and of course the 4680 pack. So two brand new things that are very crucial to the vehicle and are going to require probably a lot of time of finessing and getting to understand how the production is going to work and what's the best way to roll these trucks off the line, what's most efficient, what's best for employees. All that kind of stuff is going to be involved. And it's going to be a big learning process. So not really surprised it's being delayed, but I can tell you that the over 1 million reservation holders are not happy.
I'm fine with
A
that.
lot of people are getting upset that this is being pushed out further. I can't blame them for that, but Tesla's time scales have sometimes been extremely optimistic. And this appears to be the case with the Cybertruck at this time.
I think
And
the
there's
Model
also the-
Y is the only one they've delivered on time.
Yeah.
Right. The Model Y and one of the trims that they did to the S or the 3. The other major thing that they've got going on is what some people would call a larger mega casting. I would call it a giga casting. Because the frame the frame that's underneath the stressed skin is still going to be cast, and that's going to be their largest casting yet, and so this will be yet another one of the major pillars that's going to deal with the situation. We had a lot of folks freaking out because they removed the estimated time for delivery from the reservation page, but it just makes sense. If the folks that are already in line are going to start getting theirs at the end of 2022, beginning of 2023, how are they going to get Joe Blow his truck in the same year if he reserves it today? They can't. So rather than allow more people to get angry or frustrated or whatever, they just we'll get it to you when we get it to you. When's that? When it's done.
You wouldn't want it before then.
I like that. When is that? When it's done.
That is an accurate prediction.
Yeah, that will always be accurate. Like you can't lose with a statement like that.
Right. Oh, by the way, when it is done, you better be ready to get it now, or we're going to sell it to the next guy in line.
That's true.
Yeah.
their
So with of course the start, the pending start of Gigafactory Texas, where the Cybertruck will be made, man, Tesla's got its work cut out for it. They've got Model Ys again with the new, looks like the new structured pack is going to go out. The 4680 looks like what's only going to be produced there. And they've got another brand new line for the Cybertruck with a completely new exterior body that's going to be folded instead of pieced together. Is going to be another huge step in the revolution of making vehicles. It'll be interesting to see once it does start how the production ramp goes, if it's going to be a little bit painful like the Model 3 was, or if they'll get their ducks in line quite quickly. We'll have to see.
Yeah, so for Hockey Day's question, asking
I liked his question. So is the delay from the casting, the structural pack, the 4680, the Austin factory? What's the cause?
I would say it's probably not the batteries, because as we keep seeing with these the drone army shots, is that the Model Ys that they're practicing with in Austin don't have floors, which implies that they will be structural pack Model Ys from the start, or at least really close to the beginning. If they don't do a quick changeover, I don't see the point to do a changeover unless supply is just that tight. So at that point, it would seem to be the all of the new construction processes involved with the Cybertruck, the folding metal, the giga castings, and it being a completely new model for their workers to deal with. And then he also pointed out that you can skip the paint booth. So if they pre-treat the frame after it comes out the giga press, which they might not even need to, by dunking it in that pool and then electrostatically dealing with it, you don't need a clear coat or anything on the stainless. So
yeah.
We know the paint department's not the hang-up.
Not
It's
just Cybertruck.
Oh, but the old ones will slow them down because now they can't tailor it to their needs. Hockey Day that says that Tesla have to stop building factories and buy old ones to speed things up. I contend that old ones will slow them down further because now they have to.
Yeah, because then they'd have to bend their production lines to the size of the building or the footprint of what's available to them. So they would much rather do what they've seen was successful in Shanghai, Berlin, and now Texas. So
even Nevada, even though they couldn't get people to work in it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, next, just wanted to share this little video. We saw the rave that happened already, partial rave that happened in Berlin. I've got a little video here that I'm going to share. And this is a rave that happened in Oakville, Ontario, at a Model Y delivery. So they had the music going.
Which we can't share, or we'll get a strike.
And then, of course, the dancing rave happened out front.
Nice.
So this is from the Jimmy Twitter feed, and Jimmy and his friends are having a great time doing a rave themselves in Oakville because they couldn't make it to Germany.
And the car's dancing with them.
Exactly. The windows are going, the mirrors are full, and of course the tailgate on that Model Y. I love this little jump as they bounce off each other. Here it comes. Boom!
Looks like a good time.
Exactly.
That's living the Tesla life.
Yeah. Speaking of good times, Casey has gotten a new update for us for his car.
Yes.
What version did you get, Casey?
So late last night, I received FSDBeta 10.9, and I did not get new maps with that, unfortunately. So it's making all of the same mistakes that all the previous ones did, as far as thinking that stoplights are where they are not.
There are new maps coming, though. They've announced
Correct.
new maps. Yes, correct. I need the new maps too.
Yes. So maybe at this point, with new maps, my car will be able to do some of those zero intervention drives.
Nice.
Maybe, but the whole point isn't to do zero intervention drives, because each time we have to correct it or we see something insane that we need to report, each of those reports do help train the system. If it's perfect, that doesn't teach it anything, so it doesn't actually help anything. In 10.8.1 and 10.8, I found that my car is doing Vision Auto Park. I did it again in 10.9 and almost got shot by somebody from New York, New Jersey in a Hyundai. Because it's so slow, even slower than before. And so then They got angry behind me, and then the car proceeded to just keep on going. It didn't care that the guy was doing it. It's like, yeah, you're not
No,
close
the
enough.
computer doesn't tend to recognize that a person behind you is steaming at the ears. It just it has no comprehension that anything
I think
else
it did because
is
it
going
went
on.
slower than normal, which is already slow.
Yes, that is a very human reaction. Oh yeah, I'll show you.
Right. The difference between then and now is that it turned the turn signal on for the park, and so the signal was going on the whole time. The guy's making gesticulation, and I'm like, and then the car's moving with my hands up, so like he still didn't get it, and so he tries to cut behind me, and my car's like, oh well, just a little Hyundai, I'll roll it out of the way. And I say little, it was a Genesis before Genesis was its own brand, so it's not like, you know, he was feeling himself. I'm more important than you. Not really.
Not good. Not good.
But my problem with that is it's the reason I don't do a lot of auto parking is these people just pop out of nowhere right after you hit the go button. Like, you check and it's clear, because if there was anybody there, I'm not that much of a jerk that I would just do this. And you know, so that means you've showed up and decided that you wanted to be inconvenienced by me.
Right. If somebody's parking and you pull up, you have to let them keep parking without being a jerk.
It's
about
really
it. So,
slow. Like new drivers and older folks with limited mobility still park faster than this thing does in reverse.
oh wow.
Yeah, it's extremely slow, and it has been painful for some time. Like having the option of, and it's not just Tesla. I've got a Chevy Volt in our family, and it can self-park. I tried it once. It was so slow and painful. I've never tried again. So that's the case typically. They're going to have to get better. They're going to have to get faster and more concise. But at this point, it's like Casey said, you're just going to piss somebody off.
Yeah, it is nice in the really weird parallel parking spots where, you know, you're not sure if you can get it on the first run, and if you don't, then somebody's going to either cause you more trouble or steal your spot when you go to correct it. So there's a place I sometimes use it if it's not someplace I parallel park myself regularly. But yeah, as Mark said, they got to get faster at this. And Hockey Day asks if it will recognize police hand signals while directing traffic. It's capable of doing it, but it doesn't do that in our builds. And I don't know if the Elon build, how reliable that is. But it's there, and it's on the roadmap. The other things that I noticed, aside from it retaining the bad maps so far, is it is smoother. I've only done 4 trips with it so far, but I can't wait to get some precipitation that's not frozen and try that out. The left turns are less so far less weird. Like the one I started most of my videos out with, where it's making that left turn across high speed traffic. I have both times nudged it to go, but it didn't try to jump into traffic where it's only looking one direction like it did that one time. That was super scary. And it stopped going over the line on accident while creeping forward for visibility. And so I'll let you know more as I've had more experience with it.
Getting awful close to version 11, aren't they? 10.9. Now there's nothing to say that doesn't go to 10.91. Right. You know, they could certainly change the map anytime they wanted to, but it does look hopeful that 11 is around the corner.
Yeah, and then 11 is where we're supposed to get single stack, so that the Navigate on Autopilot will then also be using the newer perception engine. And the one thing I'd like to see them do is add the temperature to the full display that we get on the legacy cars.
Right.
Because I know they're trying to simplify things, but if you know the temperature is low and you know it's not supposed to be driving in ice, then you know that, oh, maybe this bridge I'm coming up on, I should manually drive it so it doesn't try to launch across and then slide off the edge.
And it doesn't actually have to have the temperature. It's just if it detects freezing conditions,
snowflake,
but a snowflake, exactly.
Like my Prius, yeah.
Right, and then you're not, cluttering the UI with a lot of data when you don't need it.
Right, because if I start my trip and it's 60 and then I go through the mountains and I don't know that it's dropped below freezing because it doesn't look like it, that's some useful information to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of some new information, we also got this cool photo that we are going to share here. And this, of course, is of a MegaCharger. Now, the word MegaCharger is ideal because physically, look at the size of this thing. There is a porta-toilet behind it, and anyone that knows that a porta-toilet has about maybe a 5.5, a 6.25 foot door. And this thing is
not
looking
the roof, the door.
Like it's, it's looking like it's at least 6 feet tall.
Yes.
So we had noticed this, of course, when a particular semi was parked beside it. You noticed it was up high, but this gives you a more accurate piece of information about how high this actually is. And it's looking like it's 6 foot at least. So these are going to be very large units.
Having it so tall is another benefit to that. Is if you're coming up at night and you see that it's not illuminated, you know it's broken, just like the existing units.
Well,
and
if these are for semis to park next to, you want it to be tall so that the guy in the cab can see it even when they're close.
Right, and that will help them line it up on the first shot rather than having to use cameras or skills.
Rather than use it as a speed bump.
Right.
Yeah, I think
well, this one was working, but not now. I don't know why. Why is it at a weird angle, too?
Yeah, because that one looks to be about the length of the cable on the service center superchargers, where they have the V2 supercharger, and it's just straight on the cabinet. There's no pedestal. There's no anything. It's just a long cable, and it looks longer than that. So.
Well, this is the best free marketing United Toilets had in a long time.
So if you're ever in Modesto and you need a rent-a-potty, you know where to go.
Call 1-800-TOILETS.
Next, Patrick's got some information about a steel supplier and what they're up to.
Oh, that is right. Yes. And full disclaimer, this is about Steel Dynamics and Tesla, and I'm a shareholder in both. And Mark freaked me out when in the notes it said that Tesla's steel supplier was Sinton. And I was like, what? No, it's not. It's Steel Dynamics. And so I jump over to the article, and it is Steel Dynamics, and they're building a new factory or in Sinton, Texas. So that's
okay.
Yes,
okay.
yes. So they're building a 1.2 million square foot facility there, and this is some of the state of the art steel technology. They're going to do 90% recycle, and I don't know if you guys have ever read The Innovator's Dilemma, the Christensen book. It's kind of old now, but it was how disruption often starts from the bottom, and he uses the steel industry as an example. Recycled steel, when it started, compared to new ore, was really low grade, and so they just took the rebar market. And the high-end steel guys were happy to give that away because that's not where they made all their margin. And so they didn't fight them. They didn't look at their technologies. They were like, oh yeah, that's that low-grade stuff. But then these recycled steel people were using new innovative ways, and they were improving all the time. And they just kept moving their way up the market until they dominated the market, and the guys using just the old methods couldn't compete anymore. And so Steel Dynamics is using new methods here. And one of the things there's in this article, this is on Teslarati by Simon Alvarez, they have a local news reporter that was taking a tour of this factory. So they've not started yet, but they're doing test runs. And they said, so what do you guys still need to get going? And he said, oh, we've got a lot of things to figure out. And then they asked, they showed some of their test steel that they were flexing. They also mentioned that their electricity bill would be about $8 million a month. Now, I don't know if the guy was joking, because that sounds like an outrageous number. But if you're doing that, if you're doing electric instead of a big coal-fired forge, that you're going to need super high temps to do a lot of this work. And so anyway, that was pretty exciting. Now, one thing here, and there's been a correction in this article, is this is the company that is trying to win Tesla's business. They're considered the front runner for getting it, but it's not a done deal yet. So they're building this massive factory, and it's a couple hundred miles south of Austin. So they may or may not get the deal with Tesla, but even if they don't, they have lots of customers for this steel, and it's cool to see it not being done in just the same old way it's always been done. There you go.
I wonder if they're already supplying some of maybe SpaceX steel that's required.
Oh, interesting.
I'm guessing. I have no idea if that's correct or not, but certainly anyone that wins a contract with Tesla would have a door open to them for SpaceX.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and of course they're both in southern Texas. So having your plant stationed there is probably another win for a company. So it's Tesla or SpaceX or both knows that company's close and delivery times are cut dramatically because it's produced right in the same neighborhood or within, as Patrick said, just a couple 100 miles.
Yeah, local sourcing is definitely one. If you can shorten your supply chains, the chance of disruption goes down significantly.
Yeah, exactly. Next story, which is one close to where I am at location-wise, is again, FSDBeta has been on the minds of Canadians for some time. And Elon has said in the past a few things here and there. It's coming soon, regulation,
2 weeks.
It's been a number of different plays, and of course, FSD has still not arrived in Canada. But Elon believes it's getting closer, and he made an update to a question posed to him of now somewhere between 2 and 4 weeks, and they would begin the rollout of FSDBeta in Canada slowly and cautiously. And again, I think it's something that should be rolled out as soon as possible because we're experiencing winter. And that is going to be part of the deck, the play deck that Tesla has to deal with going forward. So having at least a few, and obviously there are company FSD drivers here in Canada. There was one advertised in the employment section. Tesla looking for people specifically in the GTA to come work for them for FSD in Canada based out of Toronto. But again, having a few more people added to this list and allowing Tesla to see what's happening day in and day out on more and more Canadian roads that are affected by adverse weather would be a good situation to be in, because you know that you're going to have to face it at some point. You may as well understand what the playing field is before you have to get something into people's hands that have already paid for it.
Yeah, the amount of times that my car has tried to attack a snowplow pile, I don't know what you call that end of the run, they could use some Canadian instruction. I don't know if they want to allow FSD. At the very least, they should give the version of FSD that's sending up gigabytes of data to the internet every night I park my car, to at least inform the engineers and the AI what's happening, even if they don't turn Canadian actual self-driving on until after the snow is gone. Although that's longer than 2 weeks, so...
Yeah, it's definitely going to be longer than 2 weeks, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's a little known fact, Mark, but you know, in Canada, you can get full self-driving beta right now. You just need 105 safety score. If you get that, you get it right away, guaranteed.
I think they'd kick him out right there for cheating.
What if I could just modify that in Photoshop and send a screenshot in, if that would suffice? Look, I got 105. I don't know how, but yeah, exactly. It was really a 10 and a 5, and we just put them together.
It was a 15, but put a 0 in the middle.
Very good, very good. Next, Casey's got an update for sales figures and where Tesla sits at the end of 2021 in the U.S.
Yes, so Tesmanian is reporting on an article that came up showing that the Model 3 and Model Y are in the top 20 best-selling cars in 2021, according to registration data, because it's really tough to get Tesla to tell you how many of each was built. They'll only tell you the series. This is how many Model S and X we built. This is how many Model 3s and Ys we built. And that's all you get. So
yeah. And that, of course, is among all cars, not
All
electric
cars.
cars.
All cars. So number one was, as usual, the Ford F-Series at $726,004. And over at number 17, you had the Model Y at $186,575. And just a little bit below it, with the Equinox in between, at number 19, you had the Tesla Model 3 at $150,654. So prophecy has been fulfilled. Elon and Tesla have been telling us for months and months that the Model Y is going to be their best-selling car. There's more proof.
Oh, all right. Prediction. Next year, Model Y is in the top 10.
I can see that, especially once Texas comes online.
That wouldn't be a surprise, I would think, because, as mentioned, as soon as Texas comes online, we are going to get a flood of Model Ys into the market, definitely. So we are definitely, exchange rate, exactly.
I think you'll enjoy that performance Y. I liked everything I've seen about the Y so far. The 3 does look better to me, but I'm driving an X. It doesn't look as good as the S to me, so hey, I think you'll enjoy it. And it drives great too. So.
Oh, excellent, James. Yes, you will love that vehicle. There is no doubt.
So Tesla's outselling companies like Mercedes-Benz now, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And next story, an Autopilot driver was recently charged, and Patrick has got that story for us tonight.
That's right. A Tesla driver was charged with vehicular manslaughter. The NHTSA is releasing their findings, and they've said that, yes, Autopilot was in use. So this was in 2019, or here it says 2 years ago, but this, about 2 years ago. And they went through an intersection and hit a Honda Civic and killed 2 people. This was in a Los Angeles suburb. The driver was a 27-year-old male and has now been charged with 2 counts of vehicular manslaughter by the LA County prosecutors. He's pled not guilty, and he's out on bail while the case is still pending. So you are responsible when you're behind the wheel, whether or not you have Autopilot on, whether or not you're in a Tesla. And much like the Tesla fires, there are a few, and they make news, even though there are 30 times more. There are accidents that happen every day. Every one of them is a tragedy. This one, we because this is making news, I think it's important that we address it, and also, put out the PSA of don't just assume. Even though we were talking about full self-driving and all these other things that are coming, they're not there now. It's going to be years until you can take a nap or just look at your phone and let the car drive for you. That is not where we're at today. If you're behind the wheel, you're responsible. Pay attention. Be an alert driver. And I also wanted to make the point that it's not just Tesla that these things happen to, but they are going to be held to a higher standard because they are working on solving this problem. And there are tens of thousands of people that die every year in vehicle accidents. Eventually, we can get to a zero death, hopefully, with technologies like full self-driving when those become ubiquitous. But so this is just be responsible. Don't be the next person. I mean, 27-year-old males are not known for being the most cautious drivers. And here's one that resulted in a horrible tragedy. Please don't be the next one.
Yeah, and we've seen it happen with an actual self-driving car in the form of the Uber test vehicle. So we're not going to be immune to this sort of thing, but the technology can help us bring it down to a minimum if you're using it correctly, which this was not the case back in 2019.
If you read what happened in this article, it's linked in the show notes. This full self-driving was not being used properly. Like there's no doubt, and having that person charged, it just makes sense. Because they were using a car, they were in control of that car. Mm-hmm. They put it in full self-driving, and they were not watching the system properly, or they were misbehaving when it was on, one or the other. Yep. And like Patrick said, it's a tragedy. You don't want to see people die for, something like this. It does happen every day, unfortunately, but it's something that we don't want to happen. I don't know if we'll get to autonomy that quickly, that we can eliminate this completely, but even if you were able to eliminate a couple of senseless deaths, I think we've gained so much more in lives. If even eliminating a couple of these would be a plus for any family that's faced with the loss of a family member. It's a sad situation, but as Patrick has mentioned, please use the car properly, pay attention at all times, and someone's life, even your own, may depend on it.
Yeah, and to be clear, this car did not have stop sign and stoplight control beta, because that didn't happen until second quarter of 2020. This was in 2019. And even so, in that program, my car missed, 3 red lights? I didn't let it sail through because I'm driving the car. It just means that you're stopping a little more abruptly than you were planning to. And even in FSD, I've seen it miss 1 stoplight in the time. My favorite is when it sees a yellow light and it speeds up, and I was thinking to do the same thing.
Right.
It doesn't speed to do it. It just stops being slow. And
yeah, it's going to be. We're on an interesting road. I don't know how long it'll take. I'm not sure where the future lies, but as we've always said, Tesla's going to have a big magnifying glass on it all through this process.
As we started the show with,
it's something that they're not shying away from. They're going to be examined by many different regulation bodies that are going to be looking at what's going on as people start to understand what they're even doing. And it's going to be a long road. It'll be interesting to see if we can start to save some lives at some point along the way, and if those regulators clue into, hey, they're actually moving the needle on this problem. They may not get there today or tomorrow or next week, but if they start to move the needle and it shows that we are getting some more safety out of vehicles on the road, then I think a lot more people would be more apt to allow this process to continue.
And this brings up where one thing I wanted to see is that I know that stoplight and stop sign control beta is a FSD feature, but I would like to see them put stopping into regular autopilot. So if you manage to get autopilot regular, free, basic, whatever, the lower level, to operate on a road it should be operating on in the first place, if it comes across a stoplight or a stop sign as red, or it's a stop sign, I'd like to see the car just play dumb. Just get there and just hang on, stop, just wait for input, and then from there, that will, because what it does right now, or what it used to do in that mode, was it would just keep going, which is predictable and it's not wrong, but I think it's safer if they just bring it down to a stop and just leave it there.
So it's been acting like cruise control that's been in
right, and that's
vehicles.
all it is cruise control.
Yeah, exactly. So and it's
brains.
just behaving as such. But yeah, so auto stop would be a nice safety feature addition to the standard package. And Hockey, I want to address Hockey Dave's point here. This vehicle had autopilot. It was not full self-driving equipped. If I misrepresented that, I apologize, and thanks for the correction.
And this is the same situation we were running into with the guy at the beginning of the show who.
Yeah, we've come full circle here. Yeah, good.
Yeah, but his whole situation is he seems to think these cars are running around by themselves. They are not. They are an even more advanced version of an advanced assist system, just like cruise control. When my car decides to be a jerk and turn off all of it, and I have to manually steer and control the speed and everything on the highway, I constantly think back to my 95 5-speed Nissan pickup truck that had cruise control and air conditioning, but crank windows and manual mirrors. It's like I've gone back in time. It makes me appreciate what I've got. But I want to share something real quick. Patrick mentioned that we'll get to a point where the vehicles are safe and safer than a human. We're there. This is the Tesla vehicle safety report, and for every 4.31 million miles driven under Autopilot, which is auto steer and active safety features, they had one crash. Just having a Tesla with the suite, you had one crash for every 1.59 million miles. And with the FSD, you have no reported crashes at the moment. Whereas a regular automobile, you're at just under 500,000 miles before you have a crash per person. So 484,000 miles. So we're there.
And,
we just
according to the Dawn Project, though, people are dying every half an hour in a Tesla.
Every 38 minutes, baby.
Every 38 minutes, you just drop dead. If you've been in a Tesla for more than an hour, you are no longer among the living.
If you are living, consider yourself lucky.
I'm very lucky. Actually, Elon had a tweet to that effect. Somebody asked him, "How is this possible? How are these people doing this?" And he said they're very lucky.
Yeah,
he was joking, but
yeah, exactly. So that looking at the numbers is exactly what you should be doing. Any regulator should be doing. You shouldn't be falling for this hype. The fact that this one tragic incident did make news is because they're rare. That vehicles, a Tesla vehicle using their driving assist system or full self-driving beta are getting in fatal crashes is not something that happens every day, and that's great.
The unknown too.
Yes, it's just Luddites being curmudgeon-y and fighting the future, and instead of embracing the future. If there was actual data to support that stance, then we would be having a very different conversation of, oh my God, we can't let them just drive around killing people, and yeah. So
and that was one thing I liked
people.
About
they're stirring up the FUD.
Yeah, that was one thing I liked about Nikki and Holmars's deep dives into these. Is Nikki at Transport Evolved? They looked at the methodology that these people said they used, and they blew it to bits without even really having to try hard. Because when you look at what they said they looked at YouTube videos, 21 YouTube videos, and they got rid of the ones that had a sensationalist title. This is YouTube. Everything has a sensationalist title. You want people to look at it.
Yes.
But what you don't want to do is you don't want people to feel that they got cheated when they click on the video and then it doesn't do what it said. So I don't do it because I don't like it. But even I, I'll push right up to the edge. I just don't go all out and be like, you'll never guess what happened next. Yes, you will.
Yeah, you can't use YouTube. According to YouTube, everybody's doing the Tide Pod challenge, and whatever. It's not a reasonable sample of. If you want to actually do a study of full self-driving beta, get it, run it through standard tests, collect metrics. Don't just, I watched some YouTube and I hate you, blah, 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 and I spent $150,000 to take out a full-page ad to say you're dumb.
200 and some odd change. It went up from
really?
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
And it was in full color.
As a New York Times shareholder, I'm glad they took the money, but no, you shouldn't run ads like that.
Correct. The other thing was the videos they reviewed. They weren't necessarily of current versions of the software, and this is a moving target here. As we just saw Tuesday. I don't know what day of the week it is. We had a holiday. Yesterday, yes. I got an update, and now it's a completely different scenario than it was 3-4 months ago when I started with this stuff. So you gotta be critical of this as you're looking at these doom and gloom, scary. Ooh.
Well, it's important to point some of these things out.
Yeah, he does own 3 Teslas.
It's part of the reality of what's going on out there, and we certainly don't want to be a program that just talks rainbows and bunnies. We have to address what's going on out there, and we want to be a fair and even-handed group that's addressing these issues that are out there. So I think we do that.
You've never heard the 3 of us say that service is always great.
No.
Communication with the company is awesome.
No.
We've never said those.
I have had some great service.
Oh,
with
absolutely.
There was a ranger that lived not too far from my house. Whenever I called, he was like, "Oh, can I put yours at the end of the day?" I'm like, "Sure, that'd be great. Except I'll be at my kid's soccer game." He's like, "No problem. I will meet you there."
I will be there because my kid's playing in the same game.
Sometimes that's the case. and I'm not going to say that they haven't improved in service. I mean, since I first started complaining about service, when they started to not treat me like a king, they have made a lot of backsliding, and they have improved. But you won't see us try and say that it's always rosy in Teslaville, but you won't see us allowing the lies to spread when it's if there was even a nugget of truth in it, but there's not. So.
Mm-hmm.
We would like to ask you, if you're still watching this program, to give us a thumbs up at this point. Help us out. That certainly supports the podcast and lets us get in front of more eyeballs. Also, press that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a dime. It helps us again, and you're supporting this podcast. So we would really appreciate you doing so. With that, Patrick, what have you got going on this week, or what do you got to plug, my friend?
Yeah, so I'll give a short plug to. I attended a talk this morning by a company called Dulcera. They do patent analysis of various companies, and they compared Tesla to Ford and GM, and they were like, one of these is not like the others. And they made a big point about how Tesla does not look like an auto company. And I'm like, that's because it's a technology company that happens to make cars. And then doing the patent analysis, they found exactly that. If you look at Ford and GM, they've got like intakes and manifolds and diesel particulate scrubbers. These are like what their top patents. And then Tesla, they've got solar roofs and battery technologies, and yeah, very, very radically different. And so, yeah, that was an interesting talk. Also, you can see here, I'm at carswithcords.net. I've got a cool article coming out by the time we meet next week, and I'll mention it on that show, that I've had Powerwall for a year. So I went through the whole last year. We had some really cool events, well, some not so cool. We were under the heat dome for 5 days, where my air conditioner ran 24/7 for nearly a week. We had a power outage in February. I joined the virtual power plant, and just all those things. So this article covers all that, and it'll be cool to discuss that. And
will be interested to see that.
Cool. Last but not least, I am with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. Thanks.
Very good. Mr. Green, what do you got going on the Casey Green channel?
I've got some videos, but I wanted to say this. There were some allegations that the Ryzen-based Model Y and Model 3 would have a decrease in range, and this fellow here, the Norwegian Road, found that on his particular Model Y, Tesla has told him that he'll have an increase in range rather than a decrease. 565 kilometers with the Ryzen and the 12-volt lithium-ion, etc. So you can find my content at youtube.com/CaseyGreen. That's KACEYGREEN. I will probably wrap up my FSD 10.9 first experiences video with one more drive in the dark tonight, and then I also have a auto park video where there was nobody gunning down my car, and then the one today where we did have the impatient gentleman. That one is actually in my 10.9 video, so take a look, please.
Cool.
Thanks.
Very good.
I don't have 10.9 yet, but I should get it soon.
It's coming. If you haven't got it, it is rolling out. So keep an eye out. And with that, we will bid you all a good evening. Thank you very much for watching the show. Again, give us that thumbs up, give us that subscribe, and we will get together next week and find out what's going on in the Tesla life. Good night, everyone. Not sure if the music's going to play. I think Casey's locked up.
Oh, yeah. He's froze there. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, now it's just Patrick and I. Casey's been kicked out.
So I didn't hear the music at the beginning either, but it sounds like you guys did. There we go.
All right,
we're back.
We're partially back.
There. So I don't have the music running on
shut her down,
so,
Casey.
We'll catch you guys later.
Bye.
So
Stay positive. Test negative. Looks like we're still live.
Oh, I see.
Boom, boom, boom. Thank you, Lee Moon.
Yes, thank you, Lee Moon.